Welcome back, Warrior. We are reading Esther chapter 3. The chapter summary says Mordecai, the Jew, refuses to bow to Haman, and Haman arranges a decree to kill all the Jews of the kingdom, in the kingdom. So that's not nice. Okay, so here we go. We're going to just increase some size here. Okay, so after these things, did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So this is like his right hand man. All the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. And then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. Now, we remember that during the time that King Ahasuerus was throwing the 100-day party and he was drunk, and then he ended up trying to get his wife to come out because she was so beautiful. He's like, I need to show everybody that you're beautiful. And, their custom was not to show their face. So it was going against her beliefs, her culture, and she was being treated like an object. And so she was like, I'm not coming out there. Queen Vashti was like, nah, don't be treating me like that. I'm a queen, right? And so anyway, so then King Ahasuerus was like, wow, she did not come out. And Mordecai and Haman and all his other people were like, you can't let the queen treat you that way. That's going to be a bad example. What kind of example are you setting for all the guys around? Then the guys aren't going to be able to get the girls to do whatever they want, their wives, And so anyway, so then he had to divorce her and all the things. But that's kind of what they were doing here, where Haman was saying that he needed to be bowed to and Mordecai didn't. And so, he was like, what? And he's like, well, if you're not bowing to me, the Jews aren't going to bow to me. And then that's bad because you're supposed to listen to what I say or listen to what the king says. And so anyway, so verse 6, and he says, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. So that means all the Jews, because they didn't want the Jews to not listen either. And so he thought, oh, this is going to be a bad example, blah, 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 right? So anyway, so far we are on verse 6. We're leaving off, so verse 7. But I did want to read a little bit of the backstory here on that. So King Ahasuerus promoted Haman to such a high position that all the king's servants were bowing and reverenced him, right? So Haman's lineage is stated, Haman's lineage by stating that he was the son of these people. And Bible scholars suggest that this could mean that he was a descendant of Agag, and Agag was the king of the Amalekites and were continual enemies of the Jews. If this is the case, then Haman had a generational hatred towards the Jews. Oh, that could explain. While the other servants were bowing to Haman, Mordecai refused. And so Josephus explains that Mordecai was so wise and so observant of his own country's laws that he would not worship the man. Other Bible scholars suggest that Mordecai understood Haman's character and refused to bow to him. So I guess there's, things that happened. Other servants tried to persuade Mordecai into bowing down to Haman, but he hearkened not unto them. Oh, excuse me. And Haman did not just seek revenge upon Mordecai, but he sought to destroy all the Jews. So Mordecai's refusal to bow will be used by Haman to put a literal death order upon every other Jew, which is like so unfair and so not cool, right? So verse 7, in the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not of the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasures. So they're trying to say that we're going to pay you too if you kill people. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province. And seriously, the treadmill. And to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. So, notice in verse 15 how out of touch the king seemed to be with this command. He was influenced by his advisors, and specifically this advisor, and feeding him part truths, yet the people in Shushan were perplexed when they heard of it. The citizens of Shushan knew how many Jews lived among them, and they were good and honorable people, and wondered why such a decree would be made, for they saw no need for it, right? So it's looking really crazy back then. In verse 13, and the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. It's so messed up, because it's like he didn't even realize what he was doing by signing them. And the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. So I really love that it was so weird for him to send out a decree to kill all these people, that even a whole nother city, that their city was so perplexed about it. And it goes to show you, like, people really do influence us in many ways. And sometimes if you are too, like, I don't know if it's passive is not the word. If you just like don't care about things, people can walk all over you with that, right? I'll give you another example. It's like when my daughter's like, hey, can I do some painting? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. But I don't take the time to like help her and walk her through stuff. I'm just like, sure, you figure it out. Like, then there becomes some giant mess of paint, and I regret all life decisions, right? And then there's paint on the wall, on the windows, on like the table. It's just like a not good amount of paint everywhere. And it's like, I can't even get mad though, because I didn't show interest or show that I could participate in that activity with her. And so that's like what it is with our devotion to Jesus Christ. It's like, are we just going to sit back? Is it just going to be like totally casual? Like, just like whenever, it appears, whenever it's like convenient. Is that when I'm going to be talking about my Savior? Is that when I'm going to be praying? Is that, or am I going to put it in other people's hands? Like, I'm only going to do it when I'm at church, or I'm only going to listen to things about Christ when it's convenient for me because other people are talking about Jesus, and I'll just be around them, like in the vicinity of people talking about Jesus. And we just can't outsource our discipleship. It's not something that we can get done through somebody else because we don't have time for that. That's something that we need to put in the time for. And we need to put the time into getting to know our Savior and to have that relationship with him, because if we don't, we're the ones that end up losing. And so it's sad that, King Ahasuerus was like, yeah, whatever, to killing all the Jews. But the second that all those Jews would have died, that he would no longer be in good standing and no longer be a good king, or that they thought he was a good king. And then it would just be like all out war or whatever, right? Like, it would have just been crazy. So I'm glad that this is going to change, right? Right now, we're just in the thick of it, right? Like, oh no, this decree just goes out. Everyone's wigging out. And we're going to see what happens in the next chapters, okay? So until chapter 4, stay strong, warrior. Esther chapter 4, that was.